Hi, welcome back. I'm Leo McCarthy, spiritual mentor, Reiki Master, psychic and medium, EFT Tapping practitioner, and Shaman. And before we get started, I just want to remind you to like, subscribe, and share this channel if you think it's beneficial for yourself and other people. And don't forget to bookmark something if you want to watch it over again. But today, what I want to talk about is being criticized and understanding how it affects us and why we or other people criticize others. Now, I guarantee there's a lot of us that have been criticized by other people, and probably we have criticized other people as well. And, why are we criticized? Or why do we criticize others? A lot of times it's because of behavior. It could be because of our actions. It could be because of our choices, or even the way we do something. And who we criticized by. Growing up, we're criticized by our parents. Could be our grandparents. Could be our siblings. We're criticized by our teachers and our coaches. Could be other family members, could be friends, could be our bosses at work, could be total strangers out in public. And when we're criticized, this triggers these deep wounds that we have learned and have been programmed that have shifted our power, where it has been taken away from us and minimized. And these wounds are of either being deserving or being good enough or being worthy. And when we're criticized, it triggers this reaction in us, and it triggers an emotion in us and takes us back to moments that we might not even consciously remember, but it's in our subconscious of how it felt when we maybe were originally criticized, and how it may have either belittled us, was demeaning, had made us feel small, all kinds of situations where we felt like we weren't good enough, we weren't worthy, we weren't deserving. And when we're criticized now, these previous experiences that we've had, these deep wounds are there and get triggered and sort of come out and get projected as sort of a reaction we might feel as an emotion surfacing. We might react in anger. We may react in irritability. We may even react in a way where we shut down and we feel small again, and we feel self-conscious about even responding. And so when criticism happens, a lot of times other people are criticizing us because they have their own wounds that they're dealing with. And when they see someone else or us either behaving a certain way, acting a certain way, making a certain choice or decision, doing something a certain way, it triggers in them their own wounds and reminds them, not even consciously for them either, but there's a subconscious trigger in them as well of maybe they see us doing something, and maybe years ago they did something similar and they were criticized over it. And so it's really about safety, protection, and responding from fear of being criticized again. And when we're criticized, there is a certain thing that causes us to feel that we might not be accepted, or we don't feel accepted, or we're feeling rejected by someone else, or we're feeling rejected by a group. And being criticized is also has limiting beliefs attached to them as well, because the criticism that has come to us has programmed us to believe something in a certain way, even though there may not be a truth behind it, because really the criticism is coming out of fear. And so in order to respond to criticism, and how do we react to criticism, comes from learning to view ourselves as someone that is worthy and deserves being valued and accepted, and seeing ourselves that way so that we can bring back in our power that we always have control of, but sometimes we forget when other people take our power or snatch some of our power from us. We don't always realize that we have the ability to take that power back. And when we start to remember, and as we're doing inner work on ourselves, people find when they're working through these wounds of the worthiness to being enough, to deserving and being accepted, that they are empowered when they bring their power back in to show them the real truth is we are valued and we are worthy and we do matter. And also our voice matters. And in times when we're criticized, when sometimes we might shut down, there's this effect that the criticism has that affects not only our solar plexus, but also our throat chakra, that sort of it stifles our voice and blocks us from responding or reacting in a way to justify that either my behavior or how I'm doing something a certain way is I'm entitled to do this. Now, there are cases where we do get criticized out of fear, out of safety. And because there may be situations that other people have been through that we have not, and when they see us go through a situation and there's a fear or a safety concern, there's a legitimate reason to keep us safe why someone might criticize us. Now, in order for someone to influence us on making different choices or making different decisions or behaving differently to keep ourselves safe, the delivery of that feedback doesn't always come in a welcoming manner. And so even though someone may have good intentions and maybe it might be in our best interest to listen to the advice, they don't always deliver it in a way that we're ready to hear and receive the information. And so we have to also be open to constructive criticism, because there is a form of criticism that is constructive, that does have a positive influence on us to make healthier choices, to do things that are going to create less harm to ourselves or others. And so there's circumstances where constructive criticism is reasonable. But even though constructive criticism may be a healthy criticism for us to keep us safe, we still feel it as criticism. And so even though it might be a healthy way of someone delivering criticism to us, we still react in a way, and we're still triggered with those wounds of being good enough, of being worthy, of being deserving. And so it doesn't matter if the criticism is good or bad, it's still going to trigger us. And so when we can do our inner work and work on recognizing these wounds and uncovering these wounds and becoming aware of them and how they affect us, and then how to reframe those wounds and how to accept ourselves as we are, we may still struggle with being triggered by criticism. When and after we do this work to heal these other wounds, we then can regain the power and empower ourselves to know that we are enough, we are good enough, we are capable, we are deserving, we deserve to be loved, we are accepted. We now, when we have our power brought back in, we can choose at certain times to set boundaries. And if there is criticism that comes from someone else's sphere that isn't healthy, and it isn't a reason for safety, and it's more about an opinion, we are capable, now that we're empowered, to speak up and voice our response and set a boundary and maybe respond with thank you, but I'm still going to do this way, or I'm still going to do this, or this is my choice, because you do have the right, even though they may not agree to it. And as long as there's no harm to anyone else or yourself, that's what we need to discern, is our behavior, our actions, our choices, the way we do something. We need to discern for ourselves, is this healthy? Will we get hurt? Will this harm someone else? And if that is not the case, and it's just more of a way of choosing to do something or behave a certain way, this is our way of experiencing life for ourselves and learn the lessons that we need to go through in our life, just as other people need to learn their own lessons in their own lives, behaving the way they are and making the choices and the decisions they want to. And so I wanted to just give some food for thought about criticism and talk about how it affects us and how there's a possibility of healthy criticism in the way of constructive criticism, and know that both can be true. So just take some time to think about this. And the next thing to do for you is decide, am I ready to work on the inner work that I need to do in order to be able to have the power to receive criticism, whether it's good or bad, and to regain our power in how to respond in a healthy way and set healthy boundaries going forward. So thanks for listening to this, and don't forget again to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll talk soon. Bye.